Cool. Let's get into champion changes. Action is up first. E base damage is decreased later. The AD ratio is increased. Action can no longer revive teammates when he's dead, and the ultimate cooldown upon cancellation is decreased. I think this character's been kind of sneaking up on people. I think he's a lot stronger than his numbers indicate. He just functions so differently from any other character that, of course, it took time. So
yeah.
Also, Emax is way better than Qmax.
Yeah, they're trying to make him not go Emax is the main thing here. With this change, I think I don't remember the exact number, but it was something like you need 280 damage, like attack damage, to break even with the E damage now.
Interesting.
Which is a kind of a big thing. That being said, that also doesn't actually, yeah, I think that's right. I think it was like 280ish, but it's just a lot. But we'll see. I think he was like actually like an OP character, but he's just really hard to play and super clunky. But we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
All right, next we've got Amumu. So like we talked about last show, Q now has 2 charges. W damage has been increased early but decreased later, and the R stun duration no longer scales up with level. They also played around a little bit with some of his base stats, but I think overall it was intended to be above.
I've been seeing a lot of people trying out Amumu's support with this change.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure why. I guess having 2 stuns is good. But it's pretty exciting that they're making changes, I think, even to this character. He was in a good spot because of itemization in the preseason. But it's cool to see him getting some love.
Yeah, the only other thing, which once again, like I don't like to bring light to like Reddit circle jerk type things, but I do think it's interesting that tanks have such shit base stats compared to bruisers. Amumu, like once again, you're comparing apples to oranges, but Amumu has at level 18 600 less health than Viego.
That's crazy, actually.
That's that's a big difference, right? Like that's like once again,
that's
I understand
wild.
They're completely different archetypes. Amumu builds armor and magic resist, therefore his health is more effective than a Viego. Yada yada yada. I understand that, but just looking at it from like a just stat perspective, you go, oh wow, this character's supposed to be a tank.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm sure it's probably better for the health of the game.
Yeah,
that it functions that way, but wow,
it's just a big number. That is a large number.
Yeah, it is. Jesus.
Cool. Next, Echo. Passive damage against monsters is increased. So I've been seeing a lot of Echo over the last couple days, and I think it's been like people getting ready for this change. I've seen even some pros like tweet like, "Oh fuck, is Echo jungle OP again?" So
it's gotta be, right? I don't understand what this is supposed to do. I feel like Echo Jungle was already in a fine spot before. I don't think he was OP, but he was certainly playable, if not like on the stronger side. And I think this is like kind of remnants of Echo Jungle terrorizing everything like a while ago. Wasn't that 250%?
Yeah, it's 250, yeah.
Yeah, so we're close.
It just very much feels like Riot keeps wanting to fuck with the jungle by giving characters percentage extra damage to jungle creeps, and it never works out well.
And they just keep seeing that like they think jungle has some issues, and they know that it all revolves around like clear speed because that's the only jungle mechanic right now.
Yeah.
And instead of like putting other mechanics out there or changing any of the way like the camps spawn timing, like anything like that, they're just like, oh well, let's just give a bunch of other characters like double damage versus minions so they can clear as fast as, you know, whatever X character is insanely fast right now.
I do like this change versus the Morgana one where she got it on her primary ability. You know, at least for Echo Jungle, you have to proc it after, you know, 2 or 3 abilities and autos, and then it has a cooldown, you know, so I think it's a little bit better, but yeah, that is a very frustrating aspect of some of the things they choose to do.
Not that I was gonna say, not that I want to like stay on this for too long, but like you do bring up the important like question of like mechanics in the jungle. I played a shitload of 3v3. I hit master in 3v3 in season 8, right? And in the jungle in 3v3, the main objective is when you kill someone, towers take a while to kill, so you have to go claim these like almost Skarner type like things that give you like extra like health and then extra gold from like minions and stuff like that. Do you think there is a world in which having a shrine or 2 shrines in the enemy jungle and having some sort of like small mechanic on like maybe your jungle creeps spawn quicker, maybe your jungle creeps give a little bit of bonus XP or bonus gold or something like that when you have the enemy one claimed or when you have the majority of them? Do you think that would be an interesting mechanic, or like is that even like, is that too gimmicky, I guess? Because I feel like it was fun on 3v3, probably like a little bit too game changing, but I also feel like it could be toned and changed to be interesting on Summer's Rift.
I think it's both gimmicky and better than what we have.
Yeah.
But I assume, Colton, you mean like adding actual mechanics to the camp, so it takes like some skill or some time to clear versus like, okay, do you have enough AoE damage to just clear everything in one combo?
I mean, that's part of it. I guess to me, what I would like to see more of is, again, like different styles of junglers having opportunities to shine by all-inning on their style, right? Because like, you know, there was a time in the jungle where you could like take 2 camps, buy 7 wards, and then spend like the entire game just like vision gank, vision gank, vision gank. Or you could power farm like a madman, like they wouldn't see you until you're level 11. Or you could like, I don't know, I feel like it is just so like you have to power clear your first camps every time, no matter. And I mean, right, it's like, do you do like a 3 camp to scuttle, or do you do a full clear, I guess, are the options. But if you are playing anything that just like has a slow clear, I feel like it's way weaker, and I'm sure that there are ways to do it. Because like obviously characters who don't have crazy fast clears are still being played. It just, it seems weird that like anyone can clear pretty fast without taking much of any damage.
And that's the
like,
part that I don't like a lot.
Then of like having junglers and having different kinds, right? Like let the people who fast clear at low health, because their thing is that I can damage you really quick, but I might not be full health all the time. And then like the Fiddlestickses and Warwicks of the world, who shouldn't be able to clear super fast because they're going to be at 100% health the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll
That's my
see.
soapbox. That's the Echo change. Again, bonus passive damage to monsters. Next we've got Evelyn, another jungler. They are taking 20 seconds. So our cooldown is decreased early only, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's down 20 seconds at first rank, 10 at second, and the same cooldown at last. Okay, yeah, Eve's gonna still take over certain games like crazy and be useless others.
I was talking to Trevor a fair bit about this, and he thinks this change is actually like huge. His like logic is that she's a character that early game, like 6 to say 13 or whatever, only can gank when she has her ultimate. Like she's of shit until she's like fed without her ultimate, and giving her like 20 seconds like off of it is, I mean, you get a couple extra ganks in that like time span, which is kind of big. But yeah, cool. It's cool. This is probably the biggest change of the patch, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Gangplank's Q now counts as a ranged auto attack. His E scales better with crit, and barrel recharge time is increased, but max charges now increase with rank. So he has 5 barrels at max rank now. His Q no longer procs grasp is like the main interaction with Q that we're going to see changed here. And the movement speed.
I mean, he still procs it just at the ranged effect.
Yeah. Well,
so half effectiveness.
So yeah, I mean, he'll probably will still take grasp, but like it's not as like cancerous as it used to be. I think this is like crazy. I think this is actually like a pretty big nerf to Gangplank overall, but I think they can buff him up to a state where he's more healthy for the game. Because I'm sorry. So I was gonna say, I'm someone who thinks Gangplank is pre this change is played perfectly in a vacuum, the best top laner in the game. Almost in every single matchup. He should win like every matchup. He has a strong early game despite being a hyper-scaling late game character. I don't know. It feels like this is like a way to bring him down and then hopefully like buff him back up.
In a vacuum, he's probably one of the best just characters in the game, not even top laners. I mean, there's not a lot of I would say like I don't know, 6 to like 13ish, I think is probably like his weakest points of the game.
Yeah.
And then once you get to 13 with barrels maxed and the reduced cooldown of it, you know, he becomes one of the better characters. And initially I didn't like this change a lot because I thought, you know, like it's part of Gangplank identity is sort of to be that early game lane bully, and you know he's punishable. It's a frustrating lane, but the more I think about it, like I think this is a really good change. It makes him a lot more vulnerable early, but allows him to scale way harder late game. He gets 25 extra damage if he goes crit. 25% extra damage on an ability that already has a huge amount of percentage armor pen that can proc AoE Sheen, that can crit. Like,
we've seen it one hit carries in like professional games.
Yeah, and it's like this is a good change because I think putting a lot of his damage into the barrels, which you know have a lot of counterplay, or at the very least have a lot of like required skill where it's fucking hard to one part someone unless you've practiced it in the practice tool for hours on end, and even then you wouldn't get it perfect. So I think this is a really good change. I assume he's probably going to be a little bit bonkers on release. I think he'll get nerfed, but I think this is a good change for the character overall.
Yeah, I like that they've shifted a little more power into barrels because I think that's one of the things that's very frustrating playing against Gangplank is like that he just sits there and Q auto Qs you, and it's like, well, I dodge all the barrels or I cancel them all perfectly, but his Q with grasp is just nutty on its own. I also like love the idea that max barrels is at 5 now, because like there was already crazy 3-barrel shit. Now we've got 5-barrel shit.
I think the biggest thing with 5 barrels is going to be that if you fuck up a barrel combo, you still have more barrels in your inventory. Is like the biggest thing.
And you can do like 2-barrel combos in a fight.
Yeah, I mean you could do 2 3-barrel combos in a fight, like which is another huge thing. I think that's probably the biggest part is now you are more useful more often. Of course. Like the hesitancy is to like you can't put too much power into barrels because then he literally one hits the entire team, right? Which we've seen like you were saying in competitive. So there's like definitely a fine line to be drawn, but moving the power away from his Q and into his E is probably a good start.
Yeah, and I mean there's also a world where they can just like give some of that bonus power in terms of utility, where right like the barrel maybe doesn't one hit your whole team, but you know that extra armor pen that he gets, like it right, it turns into an armor shred, and now everybody gets it, or maybe it has a fat slow.
Or support GP would be nasty then.
Yeah. Like I don't know if that's necessarily right the way to go with it, but they could give it some other utility that still says like, hey, like the barrel is the really really big thing. Like if you just Q them, it works, but it's going to be not nearly as effective. And then like obviously dodging barrels isn't crazy hard. You can auto attack them unless you're against like a really really good Gangplank who knows the timer perfectly, and then you're out of luck. But
yeah.
Also, hey, PSA, Colton, I don't know if you know this. I think I talked about it on the Discord. You can store Sheen procs in barrels. If you like put a barrel down, Q it to proc the Sheen in the barrel, and then auto to explode the barrel, it will deal Sheen damage, even though the auto that exploded the barrel did not proc Sheen.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't realize that until like kind of relatively recently, but it seems like such a massive mechanic to be aware of.
You just have like one in all 3 top lane bushes that's holding a Sheen proc for you.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
You just keep extending it.
I don't know if you can like double Sheen then? Like
I
double
don't- I
shimmy
doubt
proc?
you
I assume
could.
you wouldn't because that would be nasty, right? But I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool mechanic to know.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's
Graves.
Gangplank. Yeah.
Q mana cost has been increased by 20. And then a splash art for the Mafia. I'm sorry, the Crime City Graves skin has been updated.
I think
so
the
this
mana change is pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah, to try to kill Lane Graves.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough, but like it's a good good direction rather than nerfing his damage, because like the reality is the problem. I mean, he has like 1 billion damage, but the fact is he just has you undertower the entire game because he can just Q waves on cooldown.
Yeah, he has perma prio plus just free wave clear with his passive like autos.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that they didn't like reduce the damage to minions, because I don't want to see Landgraves like completely destroyed. But this is definitely like a good way to like a good start.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Speaking of good starts.
Hey.
Next is Irelia, who has her Q healing decrease. So it's decreased by 4% at all levels, 4% attack damage, that is. I still think she has 1 billion healing, but this is a good start, I think. It's more the fact that, like, early game she's healing, like, 25 per Q on, like, a wave. So if she has all the minions low, she heals, 150 from just a wave, which is kind of crazy. And then late game, like I played her in the 2v2, which maybe her damage or something's increased, but like 10 minutes into the game, she healed 200 per Q.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wild.
I don't understand how this character hasn't had her healing nerfed yet, and it's probably because like, oh, the champion is bad and competitive, or like in high elo she's bad. Her win rate's actually not that high. Like she heals for 1% of her total attack damage on every single minion that she like is able to cast it on, and it doesn't have reduced effectiveness, which is like usually the case for every single healing character in the game, which is really surprising to me.
That would have been a better nerf, I think, if they kept it at like the 20% attack damage max, but made it 50% as effective on minions. So it's actually 10% on minions. Because I'm fine if she hits a fucking crazy ult, then jumps to everyone and heals like all of that. Sure, why not? That's like a skillful thing to do. But it's more the fact that when you trade on her and you get her down to 30%, then she Qs a wave and she's full again. That's where like I think that's most of the healing problem in League, right? Is I don't think like characters heal a lot hitting you. Sure, that's annoying. But it's more annoying when you do damage to them and then they go hit something else, like a minion, and then heal up. Like Yon, Yasuo, Irelia, they're all just characters that PvE their way back up into lanes.
Yeah, it's annoying on minions. I think it's even more annoying when they do it for fucking jungle camps.
Yeah.
Like the fucking Yon leaves lane, takes raptors, and healed from it. It's like, God damn it! Like
we talked about this on the patron show, which you should listen to, by the way, for $1 a month. But I think it's more fine for a character like Vladimir, whose identity is I heal, versus a character like Aurelia, whose identity is like I'm a very mobile like fighter bruiser.
Yeah,
right.
She's a blade dancer.
Like, God forbid you try to gank Aurelia and you have any range creeps on your side of the map.
Yeah.
Because her Q, in addition to full effectiveness on healing, does bonus damage to minions.
Yeah.
For what reason? I don't know.
So that she can hella stack up her passive really, really fast and then win the 2v1.
And it procs on hit effects.
Yeah, it does.
Sweet.
Yeah, it does.
Kayn, Assassin. So blue Kayn, the passive damage has been decreased. Good little change. I like that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Leona, W bonus resistances down by 5.
Gutted. Unplayable.
Unplayable.
Is their ult still, or is their W still better than Alistar ult, or no? I'm not sure. I haven't worked out the numbers yet.
Yeah, because this is bonus armor and MR, and they didn't touch the flat damage reduction at all. So
yeah,
still better. Still better
for sure.
Next is Lissandra. We talked about her actually last week. Her base attack damage is increased and her Q mana cost is decreased. Both really good changes to help out what she needs.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're already seeing Lissandra picked up a little bit in competitive. And then buffs are incoming. So I wonder if she's going to be... These aren't huge buffs, more like a small little nudge. But maybe it'll be the thing that kind of has people picking her up again.
I always thought she in competitive was like a much better top laner than a mid laner. Like I think the only problem with her being a top laner is that damage compositions don't really work with usually AP tops.
Yeah.
I think, but I think she makes a lot more sense because she's not like a super high damage mage by any means. But I remember the top TP Lissandra days, and I think that could come back like 100%.
I think so too. I think a lot of like the top lane issues are mana costs then, because you're fighting characters up there who don't have a lot of mana costs.
Yeah.
Or the half of them don't have resources at all anymore.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it could be interesting with this these mana changes.
Yeah. I prefer, like a bruiser Lissandra top to the glass cannon electrocute Bliss mid. But we'll see for sure. Next we have Lucian.
Big changes.
Yeah. Base attack damage is down 2. They've adjusted his passive, so now his when he's been buffed or empowered or really any aid from an ally, his next 2 attacks deal bonus magic damage. And that can work on a double shot. It'll pop both of them. You can stack up to 4 stacks. The W, they've added a thing that's saying when allies hit your W target, you get the movement speed as well.
I think that's already been in the game.
It says it's new.
It triggers vigilance, which is the magic damage auto attack things.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, he gets bonus stacks when they hit somebody who's got your W on them.
Yeah, so he'll get the move speed and the bonus stacks.
Yeah, so they'll get the move speed still, but you will also get bonus damage on your next 2 attacks every time they hit that person. So if you land a good W and you're both just autoing them to hell, lots of extra bonus magic damage. And then lastly, they've lowered the base damage on the culling a little bit, but they've added a critical strike ratio to push him more into the 80 carry crit build. You can get a lot more shots depending on your critical strike, and the damage can definitely be higher if you have enough.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this change. I think it's going to be really fun to play him in the bot lane.
Yeah, I think it looks fun. I was watching it on the PBE, with the full 47 shots from having max crit, and it just looks funny, like how fast he shoots.
Nice. Excited. Cool. Nami's up next. Her base health is increased, and the W mana cost is decreased later.
That's still probably
some Nami buffs.
It's probably still too rough. The main issue is ebb and flow is just too fucking good of an ability. There's a reason why it costs 130 mana at max rank, which is at level 9, by the way. So your support at level 9, your best ability costs more than every single ultimate in the game. I don't know.
So,
there may be some ultimates still at 125. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah, it's either way. It's
most. Yeah.
It's her best ability. She's still probably a little bit too weak, but she'll come back eventually. She's a very good character.
She'll come back when Enchantress supports come back.
Yeah. The next change is Senna. Her crit damage penalty is reduced, and her soul drop rate is increased. I'm scared about the soul drop rate. So the ones that you last hit has been more than doubled in this patch.
Yeah, I am not quite sure why, but maybe this is just to kill starving Senna, which is not. I don't know.
I mean, but this doesn't nerf starving Senna. This should buff Senna in general,
true.
Right? Maybe they want her to be an 80 carry. They're starting to realize that support Senna isn't good for the game because she's literally an 80 carry post 25 minutes, and that's not good for team comps. But yeah, that's a lot. This is a big change to see. So.
Yeah, that's a little scary that they're I guess we haven't been seeing a ton of Senna lately, but it's always tough when there's an infinite range scaling character in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the Senna change. Teemo E on hit damage is up by looks like a flat 3. So a little bit of extra on-hit damage for little mushroom man himself.
Hell yeah.
I did not realize that he had So I was gonna have you guys guess when he was changed last. He's actually received a pretty good amount of changes. He received one in 11-11, and then 11-7 as well. Like he's gotten changed a lot.
I mean, he's just a bad character is like the main
Yeah.
thing. Like no matter how strong he is, he still will never do anything good for the comp, right? Is like the main thing. So
Yeah, I mean his best play is you're winning the game and need to defend neutral objectives without being able to take them,
yeah.
which is a very, very niche like play style.
Mhm.
So cool.
Yeah.
Viego is next. His attack range is reduced. His base healing on possession, so his passive is reduced. The scaling is increased. Q damage multiplier from crit chance is increased. The E camo radius is increased, and the ultimate slow duration is decreased. So some nerfs for the emo king boy. I think it's good though. Kind of pushing him more towards crit and reducing the amount of healing he gets from his passive are kind of the two biggest changes.
I hope he's.
I would say.
My only thing is I hope he's playable at Worlds, but I don't want him to be pick ban. I think he does. He's very cool to watch in pro play, but I also
Absolutely
don't want him to be like actually in like every game. Like I think it's like not fun to watch all the time. But when Viego does crazy shit and turns into a bunch of characters, that's like really cool to watch. Like he's a very stylish character. I really do think stuff like the attack range nerf and stuff like that will be rough.
Yeah,
So.
I think so too. It's going to be hard to find a play better than the Rogue Misfits Pentakill with Viego. So I hope he becomes sort of like I've said this a couple times, a niche character like Yasuo, where he's not, at least in terms of competitive, he's not pickable every single game, but there are going to be some games where he gets played and he's going to look really, really good.
And there will be some games where people pick him up and you're like, that was a bad choice.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's fine for characters to exist like that. So
Yeah, I prefer, especially like those flashier, can do a lot characters to be that way, where it's like, hey, if you have the potential to 1v9, you shouldn't have also the guarantee that if you go in 1v9, that you can get out if you made a mistake.
yeah.
Like, no. Like, that's... you need to have, right, like, weaknesses, not just a free get out of jail nonsense.
Yeah.
Cough, Yoni. Whatever's fucking shadow clone bullshit is. Saya, up next after Viego. Q cast time now decreases with attack speed, and the ultimate damage has been increased by 75 going, so 75 at level 1, only 25 at max level. So yeah, the bonus at like lower animation time on Q sounds really nice to be able to thread those in with attacks.
The base damage of her level 1 ulti, by the way, is 200. That seems like a lot, right?
Yeah, I don't know why they're putting more damage on her ult when it's really a lot more of a like survive utility tool. I mean, I guess maybe they want to push her into using it aggressively to get a bunch of feathers out.
I don't think it's actually that bad. If she does use it aggressively, that's way cooler, right? Like
No.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it at rank 2 and 3. It just like 200 at level 1 on an AoE ability, like it just seems like a lot. I'm sure it won't actually matter as much as the attack speed animation changes. It just seems like a lot,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool. Zed's Q ratio is increased and his E ratio is decreased, and his R cooldown is increased late. It's cool. I mean, I think shurikens are probably the most interesting part about his kit. So if like that's a more core part of like what you have to hit, then hell yeah, that's sick.
It's also the skill shot versus the guaranteed damage.
Yeah, there's no reason that Zed should have high damage on E.
We'll run through the items super quick. Divine Sunder is losing 5 attack damage. Hullbreaker is gaining 100 HP. Serpent's Fang is losing 6 lethality. Wit's End is getting more non-linear scaling. It's better at what it's at 13. Aiden, is that right?
Yeah, so it has the same damage 1 through 8. Then at 13 is when it breaks even, and it's more damage at level 14, 15, 16, and 17. So
Yeah, and then at 18 it's the same. So just worse to rush for your first item.
Yeah, don't first item with Zen is what they're trying to do.
yeah.
Yumu's has a cost reduction. It has a different build path. It has less attack damage and now gives ability haste. We've got fleet footwork changes as well. Essentially, it's going to function the same for melee characters, and it is a small buff to ranged characters. Overall, big reduction to healing on minions. So you're going to need to auto attack champions to get the effectiveness of the healing from this. So, and then we've got a clash coming up on September 4th and 5th, and then also 18th and 19th. So cool. Got lots of bug fixes, some updated system requirements that you can check out, and then some updated skins. Crime City, Nightmare, Akali, Shaco, Twisted Fate, and Darius and Zyra, as well as Brave Phoenix Zaya, Divine Phoenix Anivia, and Graceful Phoenix Seraphine.
The skins look so good, man. They look really good, so cool. Also, we skipped over the bug fixes. Big news for me. Bug fix number 2 fixed a bug where Tahm Kench's ultimate availability HUD indicator was not graying out after his ultimate is used. That's been a bug since his release.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's 5 or 6 years in the making. They finally fixed this bug that fucking showed that your ultimate was up all the time, and then people would be like, hey, why didn't you do this? Or now, hey, why didn't you eat me?
Yeah.
So they fixed it.
Interesting.
Did they fix the other one with like your
the Jackson whatever stuff? Yeah,
yeah,
so it's good.
They did. Okay, well, so yeah, that's the patch. Do we